You're listening to Finding the Truth with Myke Hideous.
So, Myke, in many of our conversations, you've talked about your love of animals and all
Yes.
things that are furry and quadruped and maybe more than quadruped. You enjoy insects as well. You've been known to
I wouldn't
collect.
say I enjoy them. I'm fascinated by them, but I
Fascinating.
don't consider them like pets or anything like that. I don't
But
think a
you do collect
spider.
them because I know you've captured some, spiders and brought them indoors. So I mean
No,
that's a
let me be
little beyond that.
let me be clear. I don't collect them. In the winter, I get a lot of spiders that tend to come into the house to try to survive the winter. So what I do is in each portion of my house, each section of my house, I have these little jars that I keep. And I keep the jars so that if I see a spider, I catch the spider and I usually release it somewhere in the back rooms of my home so that the spiders can sleep, so to speak. That's what they do. They'll rest so that they don't burn energy throughout the winter months. And then as the weather gets warmer, they start getting excited and they want to go out. So what I do is I'll catch them. I throw in a little I take like a piece of napkin, I'll roll it up, a little tiny ball, dip it in water and throw that in there because 99% of the time they're thirsty, they're dehydrated, so they need liquid. I give them their liquid, I keep them in there for a couple of days, and then I let them go in the back rooms. And eventually, by the springtime, they start coming out because they want to go back outside. I catch them again, and on a warmer day, or anything above 55 degrees, I bring them outside and they can survive.
And that
That's
way
just the
you are the
spiders.
savior. You're the savior of spiders.
Again, just the spiders. And
Just the
before
spiders.
that,
Okay.
I was never really. Uh, spiders always bothered me. When I used to see them, I used to kill them. And now I don't anymore. I will admit the big ones, like we have out here, what's called Fisher spiders, and they're big. They get like this big, leg to leg, and that's big. Like I've seen them as big as 4 inches from the leg to leg. 4 inches. That's big and fat little bodies. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. But okay, so finish your question. You were asking me about the
Well,
saying that I was into animals and furry
you
things.
you
Yes,
love animals, don't you? Do you love? Here's a
I
good
love
question.
them very much.
Do you love animals more than humans?
I do.
Oh wow, you do.
And some people could say like, oh well, uh, babies shouldn't be aborted. You know why? That's another complicated, controversial topic. For
Well,
me,
I agree. It is, but
animals animals to me,
rule? Do animals rule and people drool, or do people rule and animals drool?
no. I think it is my personal belief that a lot of animals would not be able to survive without the help of people because we've moved into an age in which um, progress and ingenuity and machinery creates problems for animals. We're cutting down habitats, jungles, rainforests, and all that's very essential to the planet. We need trees.
And you've mentioned before that that animals are obviously a very special part in your life, and you're surrounded by them as we have our podcasts. So, what is it that you've said before? You've had some involvement in helping animals and
Well,
their plight.
let's start from the beginning. The reason I got into I wasn't always a supporter of um, donating to animal rescues, such rescues and rehabilitation organizations. I didn't do that until about 2010, 2011. And it was around that time when I began, with the help of the internet, I began to read about and see how animals were being abused. Everything from dog fighting to massive slaughter farm factories, or what they call farming factories. And I saw how these animals are treated. Do you know that for every baby chick that is born, they take the male chicks, and they just throw them into grinders and they crunch them
Hmm.
up.
Actually, I do
And
recall
yet,
seeing videos on that once before. Yeah.
yeah, it's horrifying,
Yeah.
and it breaks my heart. And let me
Mm.
just tell you, there are a lot of things that affect me when I see these animals treated the way they get treated. When I see that, it's like a bullet goes right through my heart. When I drive down the road where I live in Pennsylvania, every time I see a deer, a fox, coyote, possum, skunk, raccoon, porcupine, bird, squirrel, mouse, every time I see one of these animals that have been hit by a car or a vehicle, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart because I feel bad for these creatures. Here's the weird thing about this. Now, I'm not a vegetarian. I'm not a vegan. I respect those people who can do that, but I can't. I've tried it. I always tend to get sick because there's a certain protein that you can get in red meat specifically that you can't get in a pill or a food. When humanity was evolving from the dark ages, and even before that, like, I'm talking about like Neanderthal time and Cro-Magnon times, cavemen, they not only ate grains and plants, but they also ate animals too. They were omnivores. And hello, how are you? That's Puma. Say hi, Puma. Um,
Hi, Puma.
so
He's an
I
omnivore
just
too, isn't he?
no, he's just a carnivore. He's a
Okay.
carnivore. All I try to feed them just fish. I don't feed them beef or chicken or anything like that. I feed them just fish. It's just what I do. Anyway, so I began to see all these things about animal cruelty, and I then I started to make some donations to certain organizations that were rehabilitation or rescue organizations for animals. Save the wolves, help out farm animals so that they're not like we need farm animals. Okay, people need to eat, but they don't need to be treated like less than zero. If I had my way, I would make it so that if you wanted to have, if you want to be able to eat chicken, or you want to be able to eat hamburger meat or steak, I think it's important to know what it's like to kill that animal in order to make that food. And that's where we sort of lost that understanding. About, I'm going to say about 80 years ago, even maybe even further back, there weren't McDonald's, there wasn't Burger King, there wasn't Red Lobster, there wasn't all these fast food restaurants that serve you food in which you get these animals that are slaughtered on these factory farms. Like I've been to California. Have you ever been to California?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Have you ever driven down some of the roads and gone past the cattle fields?
Well, sort of. I mean, honestly, it was a long time ago that I was there, but I know what you mean.
Okay. Well, here's my point. The last time I was in California, which was, when was it? Oh my God, probably close to 20 years ago when we did a gig out there. So we were traveling up and down the coast, and in some cases we went past these farms with cattle. And Z, I never saw so many fucking cows in my life.
Just like
Thousands,
fields
tens
of
of
fat
thousands,
cows, right?
tens of thousands of cows. And I don't think it should be that way. I really don't. I think it should be limited, and I'll tell you why. I believe These animals, whether they're cows, chickens, lamb, goat, sheep, you name it, whatever we're going to eat, these animals should be given an opportunity to live, roam free, give them something. And then at a certain point of time, whatever it may be, a couple years or whatever, if it's time for the chopping block for them, then yeah, okay. But I also think that it should be where people know what it's like to have to cut off the head of a chicken in order to eat it, pluck the feathers, pull the guts out, know what it is that you're eating. In the profession that you and I have worked in, which I'm not going to talk about, but you know what I'm talking about here. We do some videography and photography, and sometimes we see where people are eating and they take away their plates, and there's an entire piece of filet mignon, or an entire piece of chicken, or an entire piece of fish. And that burns me up because these animals died so that you could eat this portion of its body, and you're not going to eat it and it just gets thrown away. That burns me up. When I look back at when I was a child and my father used to say, you eat every piece of that meat on your plate. That animal died so that you can eat it. And it took a little while for me to understand. But as I got older, I really truly saw what he meant. And it's exactly what I'm saying now. You should be complete. Fuck the potatoes, fuck the broccoli, the asparagus, whatever. That I'm not too worried about. But when it comes to a life that is given up for you in order to eat it, I think it's imperative that you at least eat the meat that's on your plate. That's just me. That aside, once I began seeing how animals were abused and neglected, that's when I started donating to these rescue and rehabilitation organizations. And just to name a few, I'm just going to name a couple for you. I used to donate to Defenders of Wildlife. I still donate to this one, National Anti-Vivisection Society, the NAVS, Red Rover Association for Dogs, Save the Chimps, Doris Day Animal League, National Human Society, Humane Society of the U.S., PETA, National Audubon Society, New Jersey Audubon Society, Bergen County Audubon Society, Earth Justice, Sierra Club, National Federation, and it goes on and on and on. At one point, I was donating to more than 36 animal rescue and rehabilitation organizations. And then at the same time is when I also started getting into birds. I began to adopt animals. I adopted the snakes that I had. I adopted the birds that I got. There was only one bird that I had bought back then, and that was about 2008. All the other animals, my cats adopted. The cats before these guys adopted. The birds that I've had, the one I have now, Sergeant, the red, the blue and gold macaw. What's with the bubbles? Where are they coming from? The blue and gold
You made
macaw
me thumbs
is
up.
also a rescue, but I wasn't. He's a rescue. He came from a family where a guy couldn't take care of him anymore. I have a parakeet with a tumor on its wing. He's adopted. I have a cockatiel that an old woman couldn't take care of anymore. He's adopted. My snake, somebody stole my snake and gave it to me. But the point
What?
is, yeah, somebody stole this
Your
snake.
snake is stolen? It's
Yeah,
a
somebody
hot
stole it and he
property?
gave it to me. It is, yeah. And they gave it to me. Anyway,
That's a hefty
all I'm saying
admission.
is that it I've loved animals all my life, but I didn't get into helping organizations to help protect them and rehabilitate them until about 2010 when I actually had money. Nowadays, I mean, if I have a little extra money, I'll make a donation, here and there. Mostly, I mostly donate to anti-vivisection uh, organizations. I sincerely believe that all tests of whatever chemicals, medication, they should all be tested on prisoners.
Oh, well, that's an interesting perspective. Yeah.
Mm. You rape somebody, you kill somebody, we're going to test something on you, like it or not. I don't care. Once you do that, you're no longer human to me. When you
Well,
kill other people and you harm other people psychologically and physically, to me, you're no longer human.
well, I can only agree on that topic. Once you've demonstrated to the world that you are a monster and you're willing to
Yep.
destroy or kill other
Then they should be
people,
treated as so.
yeah, there's really not much reason to keep you around. Well, Myke, you brought up some excellent points, and like you said, you're only donating to a few organizations now, but it was really 10 years
Only
ago or
because
so.
I don't have the money that I did 14, 15 years ago. Um, Now I have to be very choosy. I wish I could do more. Here's the funny thing, though. A lot of times I'll get a letter from, I don't know. Let's just say hypothetically, uh, like an organization that saves dogs or cats. Some of these people, they send me. I get these big envelopes.
Sure.
They've got all this paper inside. They sent me like a gift of like return address stamps. They send me gifts of like writing pads, pens. Um, like I'm like, what do you need money from me for? You're
Yeah,
sending me
you're
an
pissing him.
envelope full of all this crap, and you want
Right.
me to donate $25? Why?
Right. So you can
Why?
mail more crap to more people.
Right. So I began to get very choosy. And I also wanted to mention one other thing. I am not a vegan. I am not a vegetarian. I respect those who do it. And I do my best. I do eat meat. I don't eat a lot of it, but I do eat meat. I tend to eat a lot of fish these days, salmon, sardines, uh, shellfish, things of that nature. Uh, Not that that makes anything difference. It's still a living creature. I think what makes it different for me is I've been told by certain people that fish have a different nervous system. So killing them isn't quite the same as killing a mammal or a bird or something that walks or crawls on the earth as opposed to swim. That's what I heard.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is, but I just try to do the best I can as me. I'm constantly in the spring around here where I live in PA. In June, the female turtles, all types of female turtles, come out of the water and they look for a place to lay their eggs. And I can't tell you how many of them get run over. I don't know how you can't see a fucking turtle in the road. It's beyond me. And I'm talking, some of them are big, snapping turtles. And these poor things, they've lived for 100 years and they get fucking run over by some idiot who's too busy text messaging. I do my best to rescue and help animals. My neighbor had bats in her house one day. 5 of them I rescued in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I remember you
I've
mentioning.
rescued, yeah, I've rescued a couple of years ago. I found a yellow belly sapsucker woodpecker in the middle of the road. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm driving. I'm like, oh, poor thing got killed. I went to the store. I'm coming back. It was still there. And I'm like, gee, you know what? I'm going to pull over just to make sure. I pull over. I walk over to, and it started to move. I was like, oh my God. So I immediately grabbed it. I always keep a little plastic aquarium, yeah, in my car for just such an occasion. And I put it in there, I brought it home, and I nursed it back to health. I've done it with a couple of birds, a couple of woodpeckers, uh, sparrows, bats. Um, I was telling Professor Z. a couple of weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, I was coming home at night. No, it was about a month ago. I was coming home at night on one of the dark roads out here. And as I approach maybe about 100, 150 feet in front of me, there's like these cows standing in the middle of the road. It was the
Yeah, that's
strangest
cool.
sight.
That was
Pitch
funny.
black. No street lights. It's pitch black. Um, I know. I was coming home from a movie that night, a movie from the movie theater, and it's like it's got to be like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. No lights anywhere, and I pull up, and there's these cows just standing in the middle of the road. One of them was a bull. And I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I get out of the car and I'm like, "Come on, guys, let's go, move!" And they started moving back into the gate, and moo, moo, and I'm mooing back to them, and they're mooing back to me. It was wonderful. Um, I've got I've got all kinds of animals that are around me. I see them all the time, and I'm just fascinated by them. I love animals so much. I really do. I really, really do. Wildlife and domesticated pets. Thanks for listening to tonight's program, and we're gonna end tonight's show, and see if Professor Z has any final thoughts on everything we discussed tonight. Professor, anything to say?
My final thought for this evening was actually about warmer weather. I don't know about where you are in this world, but I have seen a lot more rain than I'm used to in the last year or so.
Welcome to the
And
Poconos.
well, that's not where I'm at, but still, I'm still wondering. They're just, and I'm not going to get into the whole any one of the many theories. Oh well, it's because of X, Y, and Z. No, it isn't. It's because the Earth is just happening to go this way. So, however you want to look at it, I'm just like, I've been thinking about warmer climates, and I'm sure many people in this world think maybe about the same thing, but I just wonder, maybe our audience can give us some feedback. What warmer climate do you enjoy, or would you like to enjoy? Is it somewhere around the Florida region, or is it the middle of the country, or are you looking for out in the desert of Arizona? But you know, I just continue to think, like, even though we're moving into spring where we are right now, um, it just can't be warm enough, fast enough, and consistent enough to some degree for me. Call me an old man, whatever, but that's one of my final thoughts: is where is the warmer weather that's nicer than where I am now?
Okay, good night, folks. No, really. I
You
can.
got nothing, huh?
No, I'm going to give you an answer. I can tell you right off the bat, and I'm not going to go. I don't have a conversation with. I will tell you. I asked the very same question when I moved out here, and it's this: in the cities, it's always 7 degrees hotter or warmer, I should say, than it is out here. And for those of you who don't know, Z and I are now in the same state. Okay, we're both in Pennsylvania, but we're both originally
Confusion.
from New Jersey. We're both from New Jersey. When we lived in Jersey, we lived in suburban areas, uh, tar streets, concrete sidewalks, etc., etc. Buildings, 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 less trees. It's always warmer in a city. However, now that you're living closer to the Poconos, and I found this out from people, we get the strangest weather out here. And it can rain at any time, and sometimes it can go on for weeks. And I have experienced it firsthand. The third year I was living up here, or no, second year I was living up here in 2016. It rained from June until late July, like 2 months. It rained. So yeah, welcome to the Poconos, my friend. I know you're not in the Poconos, but you're close enough to it, and that's where the weather comes from. And that's the answer to your
Possibly.
question.
I guess.
Definitely.
It actually is not, because I was really looking to know where to go for the warmth. You just emphasized
Oh,
why
well, you
it's
got to go back
not
to New
warm
Jersey.
here. Oh, horseshit.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's
Nah.
7 degrees warmer in the city in New Jersey than it is out here, and I know that for a fact because I checked it out. Anyway,
Sadly, I
on
think
that
I need
note,
to go down to a latitude that's where it's definitely more warm.
well,
I'm looking for
move to
more
Alabama.
along. Sure, there you go. It's certainly cheaper
Okay.
than Jersey. Anyway, and your
All right.
final
So there you
thoughts,
go,
my
folks,
friend.
on
What do
weather.
you have on your
Final
mind?
thought. So I just wanted to say, everyone, so listen, thanks for listening, everyone. We appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed our show tonight. But more importantly, we hope that you can understand the points and the topics that we discussed and gave opinions on. Um, we understand that you may not agree with everything that we may say on this show or have talked about, but we certainly hope that you can understand how important it is to open your eyes and ears and listen and see what is taking place in our country and as a result, the world. And that's all happening today. So we may not say things that you agree with. We may not talk about topics and give opinions that you necessarily agree with. But I think it's important that if you can listen and open your mind to understand where we're coming from, you may have a better understanding of life itself. Uh, Take it from two old fogies who are now talking on a podcast. Um, we have a little bit of experience. We're not exactly the dumbest guys around. We kind of have a little bit of background and life experience. So if you're our age, you might know where we're coming from. But if you're younger and you don't like me because I'm a Trump fan and that I support Israel, I can't change that. All I can say is that you have to be able to listen to what other people say and understand it. On that note, I'd like to say thank you very much for listening to Finding the Truth with Myke Hideous. I've been your host, Myke Hideous, and my co host and engineer and producer, Professor Z. Say goodnight, Z.
Good night, Z.
There you go. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to please like our show, smash that button, subscribe, and please share our show with your friends and people who will appreciate it. Don't share it with anybody who's woke because they won't get it. And on that note, thank you very much for listening tonight, and we will see you and hear you and talk to you, or well, actually, you'll hear us and talk to us. No, you'll hear us and see us. Yeah, that's it on the next show. So thanks very much, everyone. Have a good night.